Every country on Earth is in debt. The United States owes over $38 trillion. Europe carries $14 trillion. Japan is nearing $9 trillion. Even oil-rich nations, even export giants, all owe massive sums. So here's the question no one asks. If everyone owes money, who exactly is being paid? This is Monetrail Docs, where money, power, and history collide. And nothing in finance is ever what it seems. Here's the uncomfortable truth. The world doesn't owe money to one single country. It owes money to itself. But that doesn't mean everyone benefits equally. To understand why the planet is buried under $315 trillion of debt, nearly 3 times the global economy, we have to go back to where modern debt really began. Not in banks, not on Wall Street, but in war. In 1694, England was running out of gold while fighting France. Instead of raising taxes, the crown did something revolutionary. It borrowed. Merchants funded the war in exchange for guaranteed interest paid by future taxpayers. To manage this system, a new institution was created, the Bank of England. For the first time in history, governments could spend money they didn't yet have, backed not by gold, but by trust. The government bond was born, and the modern financial world quietly began. Other nations copied the model. France, the Netherlands, even the newly formed United States used debt to fund its revolution. Debt stopped being a weakness. It became proof of power. Empires no longer needed to conquer gold. They could issue bonds and collect interest instead. The battlefield moved from land to balance sheets. Fast forward to today. The U.S. owes $38 trillion. But here's the twist. Most of that debt is owed to Americans themselves. Pension funds, banks, insurance companies, and the Federal Reserve foreign countries like China and Japan hold only a small slice. So when people say America is owned by China, that's mostly a myth. This system is circular. Taxes pay interest. Interest flows back into pensions. The creditor and debtor are reflections of the same machine. And this isn't just America. Japan lends to the U.S. The U.S. lends to Europe. Europe lends to developing nations. Developing nations lend back by buying Western bonds. It's a global web of IOUs, promises stacked on promises. A poker table where everyone borrowed chips from the next player. And the game only works as long as nobody stands up. Behind governments sits the real authority. Markets. Pension funds, hedge funds, central banks. Sovereign wealth funds. They decide who borrows cheaply, who pays more, and who collapses. When confidence disappears, currencies crash, governments fall, and nations are forced into austerity. Democracy chooses leaders. Markets decide survival. Here's the part almost no one understands. There is no such thing as debt-free money. Every dollar exists because someone owes it. When central banks create money, they create debt simultaneously. One balance sheet's liability becomes another's asset. Debt isn't a flaw of the system. It is the system. Governments are not meant to pay off debt. Not now, not ever. They roll it over forever. New bonds replace old ones. Interest is paid. Confidence continues. If governments actually paid all their debt, the global economy would collapse from deflation. Debt is the heartbeat of modern capitalism. But here's the darker truth. When we say we owe it to ourselves, that's only half true. Interest flows upward. From workers, from taxpayers to institutions and asset owners, debt transfers wealth quietly, legally, endlessly. That's why inequality and debt rise together. So who is the creditor? Not China. Not one bank, not one country. It's the system itself. A system built on trust, rolling promises, and belief. And the day belief breaks, the numbers stop mattering. If this changed how you see money, subscribe to Monetrail Docs, because history already wrote the ending. Most people just don't know where to look.